find a way to run from the city of the sun. You could have stayed, it's only over when the day is done. I never knew you was a runner, yeah. I mistook you for a son. It don't matter what we think when it's all over. 'Cause this is our last chance to leave it all behind. Raise your voice and raise your power, yeah. This is our last chance to leave it all behind. Raise your voice and raise your power, yeah.
Archie, is it fun?
Fun.
Fun.
After me. Ready? Happy?
Happy.
New?
New?
New.
Was wrong to say I wouldn't change a thing, 'cause in the story of our lives, the best of times through color glass, time rolls on enough to let me move on past, but every little now and then it creeps on back to shape my smile.
So this is the NPR interview. First, I'm pretty sure by now all of you have already listened to it. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna read the transcript, and then at the end I'll put the audio version of it. If I get flagged for it, I'm just gonna cut the audio, the actual audio of Meghan's interview. Alright, so here it is. First, it's me reading the transcript of the interview, and then the next one is the actual audio of it. Enjoy. Okay, today is June 20th, 2021, and it's 8:13 a.m. and I just recorded my first video. This one is from NPR. I was looking for the audio. So as you can see here, it says, okay, audio will be available later today, but they have the transcript. This is NPR that interviewed Meghan regarding the book, The Bench. Okay, a Father's Day gift from Meghan to Harry is now a kid's book. Okay, by Samantha Balaban. Okay, June 20th, 2021, 6:40 a.m. Eastern. Okay, here on weekend edition Sunday. So the audio is not available. So let's see here. This is your bench where life will be for you and our son, our baby, our Ken. All right, so that's a copy of the bench here. All right, for Prince Harry's first Father's Day, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, got him a bench. Quote, as most of us do, you go, what am I going to get them as a gift? And I thought I just wanted something sentimental and a place for him to have as a bit of home base with our son. End quote, Meghan says. And on a little plaque on the back of a bench, she wrote a poem about the moment she hoped they will share on that bench. quote, "This is your bench," and quote, the poem reads, quote, "Where life will begin, or for you and our son, or our baby, our kin." Now, 2 years later, Meghan and Harry have added a second child to their family. Daughter Littlebeth Diana was born in early June, and that poem is a children's book. The Duchess of Sussex spoke to NPR about the book shortly before the birth of her daughter. Okay, The Bench is a series of vignettes. Fathers and their sons share a bench while they drink apple juice, wait for the bus, look at the stars, and put on their shoes. The bench is where they cry, celebrate, and mend their scraped knees and broken hearts. Okay. Meghan says the poem was inspired by watching her husband and their son Archie together. Quote, "I often find, especially in this past year, I think so many of us realize how much happens in the quiet." End quote. She continues, quote, "It was definitely moments like that, watching them from out of the window and watching my husband just, rock him to sleep and carry him, or, those lived experiences from my observation are the things that I infuse in this poem." Okay, there she is saying her experience when that book first came out, meaning like when they first talk about it, they were saying that she copyrighted from other people. And then you have the writer of those books that they're saying Meghan copyrighted from, saying no, it's not the same. But the other people insist it is. My goodness. All right, so that's what came to mind as I read this. Okay, from here you will rest, see the growth of our boy. All right, the interview continued. When it came time to turn the poem into a picture book, Meghan asked for Christian Robinson, the Caldecott Honor recipient and illustrator behind Milo Images, The World, and Last Stop on Market Street. Quote, "This was just like one day getting an email being like, quote, 'Would you want to work with Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex?' And I'm like, I'm complete disbelief and excited," Robinson said. Quote, "For me, it was no-brainer," end quote. It was also a creative challenge. Robinson usually worked in acrylic and cut out pieces of paper, but for the bench, he did the illustration in a different medium. Quote, "I wanted him to just try something a little bit new and work in a watercolor," says Meghan. And that was specifically because I just felt that when you talk about masculinity and you talk about fatherhood, it can often not come across with the same softness that I was really after for this book. And I just wanted this to feel almost ethereal and light, and Christian was able to use that medium and create the most beautiful images. I don't know if you guys remember in one of my tweets not too long ago, maybe 2 or 3 videos ago, I was saying that when an author is working with an artist, all right, there's a lot of back and forth that goes on, and where the author have to pretty much direct the artist what she really wants to see. And there it is. Okay, there it is, Meghan talking about it. I've said this even before that. Okay, that's part of the book. You love him, you listen, you'll be his supporter. Robinson said he was up for the challenge. Quote, "What makes creativity fun is when things are improvised, when you kind of had to explore and play and experiment," end quote. And he continues, "I really think it was just the right note." The poem began and ends with illustration of the author's own family. A red-haired father and his toddlers sit on a bench surrounded by their dogs. But the rest of the book shows all kinds of families, something that was important to both the author and the illustrator. Quote, "I think for me, inclusivity and representing as many different families as we could was at the heart of this book," says Robinson. "Growing up, I remember so much how I felt to not see yourself represented," says Meghan. "Any child or any family hopefully can open this book and see themselves in it, whether that means glasses or freckle or different body shape or a different ethnicity or religion." One representation Meghan said she particularly wanted to include in the bench was that of a military family. Years ago, she was on a USO tour with a sergeant from Texas. As I was reading this paragraph, I'm thinking of one of the tweets that I read where this tweeter wrote that her dad was in a wheelchair, so that touched her very much. But let me continue. All right, so Years ago, she was on a USO tour with a sergeant from Texas. Quote, he had told me the story about how he wasn't able to teach his son how to play catch because he was away, Meghan says. And so he and his son will email this baseball card and forth to each other from Texas to Afghanistan and write the date on it. Wow, these are people who pay attention, just like Harry when he goes to those, when he used to go to those royal event, he pay attention. Okay, looking out at my love and our beautiful boy. So when she would this part, she thought of that particular moment at the USO. Okay, and here in the window, I'll have tears of great joy. Okay, and the bench, a mother standing at a window cries tears of joy while a father in a military uniform greets his son outdoors. The father was torn off his backpack in excitement, and the boy has discarded his popsicle to jump into his father's arm. Quote, that page is true to form for him and his family, Meghan said. There are lots of little small moments like that were personal memories or anecdotes that I wanted infused in there, Meghan says. All right, Meghan probably how do you call this, express this particular scene with the with Robinson, the illustrator. Okay, like her favorite flower, her mother-in-law favorite flower, and of course the family rescue chicken. I need my girls in here, okay, and there, says Meghan. But even though the bench is a very personal, intimate poem that Meghan wrote for her husband, she says she hopes readers find its message universal. Quote, it's a love story. And quote, she says, it's really just about growing with someone and having his deep connection and distrust so that be at good times or bad, you know that you had this person, she said. I really hope that people can see this as a love story that transcends the story of my family. I'm laughing here because I see the word Samantha, the ironic of all. Samantha Balaban and Melissa Gray produced and edited this interview for broadcast. Rachel Meyer adapted it for the web. Alright, so the audio hasn't come out yet. Okay? So maybe later today. So, but that's the thing. They just put it. Audio will be available later today. Alright, so that said, so as I read this, I remember in one of my tweets when we were talking about, I said we, but when I was talking about the bench, and I was like, maybe there will be some part of the book that will show the poem that Meghan wrote for Harry. Maybe we'll get a sneak peek, and some tweet were saying this is private and everything. But as I just read this article, what I think it is, the book is the poem. It's the whole thing. All right, so we pretty much the poem that she wrote for Harry is the book. All right, so she turned the little words that she put for Harry, and then it turns it into a book. That's what I got from this. I could be 100% wrong, but this is what I got from it. Okay, the audio is next.
And here is the exclusive interview we have all been waiting for. For Prince Harry's first Father's Day, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, got him a bench.
As most of us do, you go, what am I going to get them as a gift? And I thought I just wanted something sentimental and a place for him to have as a bit of a home base with our son.
And on a little plaque on the back of the bench, she wrote a poem. 2 years later, Meghan and Harry have added a second child to their family, and her poem is now a children's book. Before the birth of her daughter, Meghan and illustrator Christian Robinson spoke with NPR's Samantha Balaban about the new book for our series, Picture This.
The book is simply titled The Bench. It's a series of vignettes, fathers and sons sharing an apple juice, waiting for the bus, looking at the stars. The Duchess of Sussex says the story is as much about the larger theme of father-son relationships as it is about the small moments in life.
You know, I often find, and especially in this past year, I think so many of us realized how much happens in the quiet. In the story, I'm observing this love between my husband and our son and imagining what it will be as they have more shared moments as our son gets older. So from scraping a knee to having a heart broken, whatever it is, that they always reset at this bench and have this moment to bond.
This is your bench, where life will begin. For you and our son, our baby, our kin. The poem begins, "This is your bench where you'll witness great joy. From here you will rest, see the growth of our boy." And when it came time for images to go with those words, Meghan asked for Caldecott Honor recipient Christian Robinson.
This was just like, one day getting an email being like, would you want to work with Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex? and I'm like in complete disbelief and excited. And then I read the manuscript and then I fall in love even more. And for me, it was like a no-brainer.
You guys can imagine when I had to decide who was going to illustrate this book. It's such a personal story. And I wanted someone who could bring this to life beautifully. And I had been a fan of Christian's work and just loved his illustrations. And Christian, you can completely call me out on this one. I wanted him to just try something a little bit new and work in watercolor. And that was specifically because I just felt that when you talk about masculinity and you talk about fatherhood, it can often not come across with the same softness that I was really after for this book. And I just wanted this to feel almost ethereal and light. And Christian was able to use that medium and create the most beautiful images.
So typically I do work in like acrylic and cut out pieces of paper. It's kind of become my comfort zone. What makes creativity fun is when things are improvised, when you're kind of on your toes, when you kind of have to explore and play and experiment. So I was up for the challenge and I really think it was just the right note. And the story visually begins with a look at the author's actual family, depicting them in little moments. But then it goes on to share and show all kinds of different families. I think for me, inclusivity and representing as many different families as we could was at the heart of this book.
We both started to explore even what diversity means when you look at it through illustration. And it's not just black and white. Growing up, I remember so much how it felt to not see yourself represented. So any child or any family hopefully can open this book and see themselves in it, whether that means glasses or freckled or a different body shape or a different ethnicity or religion. Even the military family, Christian, we had talked about that because I had gone on a USO tour years ago and Sergeant Strong from Texas was with us. He was deployed in Afghanistan and he had told me this story about how he wasn't able to teach his son how to play catch because he was away. And so he and his son would mail this baseball back and forth to each other from Texas to Afghanistan and write the date on it. And that stuck with me.
And if I can share one of my favorite moments in the book.
I don't think I know this. Which one is it?
It's where you write, "You'll love him, you'll listen, you'll be his supporter." And the illustration is a dad and a son on a bench, stretching, doing like a ballet move. And they're both wearing tutus. And immediately when I thought of the word support, I just thought about, especially now, we're living in a time when people are feeling more open and able to express themselves and be them full selves. And just to have that support from your family, especially a father, is so important and powerful. So yeah, that really connected with me.
I love that. Thanks, Christian. Kids, they just pick up on everything. And that was one of the pieces that I think was important for me, even on the homecoming scene with the military dad. It's like, okay, what is he doing? Maybe he's sitting on a bench. Maybe he's reading a book. Maybe he's dropped his popsicle because he's so excited. Because I knew Archie, I knew that our son would notice all of those elements. And he loves it. Christian, I haven't told you that. Archie loves the book. Which is great because he has a voracious appetite for books. And constantly when we read him a book, he goes again. But now the fact that he loves the bench and we can say, "Mommy wrote this for you," feels amazing.
Yeah.
And it was such a great idea that Christian had as well. Once we had decided on what the benches looked like for each specific vignette, to have them all at the beginning and the end of the book so that as a child, you could go, let me find each bench. And it's its own little project and game. Just all of those little Easter eggs or nuggets that are tucked within the book. there's a lot. If people start digging, I think you can find sweet little moments that we've tucked in there, from my favorite flower, even my husband's mom's favorite flower, forget-me-nots. We wanted to make sure those were included in there. There's a lot of special detail and love that went into this book.
Just to add on that, you wrote something very personal, very specific, but in that specificity, it ends up being universal. Completely honestly, I didn't grow up with a father figure. I myself am not yet a father. And so I might not have had these clear reference points, but, I have an older brother who is an incredible father to my niece and nephew. Also, I think when I'm creating, I'm also like putting out an intention in the world, so I'm kind of, it was almost like I was visualizing the father that I wish I had, the father I hope to be one day. And I think because the author's words, Meghan's words, just felt so genuine and real, it was so easy to find those like connecting points and like make these moments feel real, not just some like, I don't want to put down a brand, not a cheesy gift card, like this is real stuff.
But really, I think part of that too is it's a love story. While this was inspired by the love that I see between my husband and our son, this story and this connection, that bond that you're seeing play itself out, that could be with a mom, that could be with a caregiver, that could be with a sibling. It's really just about growing with someone and having this deep connection and this trust so that, be it good times or bad, you know that you have this person and you can always go back to this place that you share together. And I think that really is the larger message in it.
That was Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, and illustrator Christian Robinson talking about their new book, The Bench. Samantha Balaban, NPR News.
Please take a moment to subscribe, like, and share. If you want to help this channel, there's a PayPal link in the description for you to donate. And some of you who have already donated, thank you.